I'm back. My camera overheated, and these seem to taste good. I keep forgetting the name of these. Now, let me see. Where was I? As I was saying before my camera overheated, the court, 1943, is obstructing justice. 1944 is interference with a police officer. 1945 is driving without licenses while license suspended. What do you mean by that? Never was. 1946 is failure to obey a police officer. What was his lawful command? Oh yeah, he broke the window. And the last one is a registration or plate violation. You all set, go. At 2:51 p.m. proceedings concluded. They hauled me off. To Romulus post station, and they violated me something fierce. And then they took me to a maximum security prison in Detroit in shackles. Why? Because I challenged Alan Hindman's jurisdiction. And these papers state right here that you have every right to challenge jurisdiction. Challenging jurisdiction is one of the best defense you can make, because if you used the right argument, it is impossible for you to lose. If they attempt to tell you that you can't question their jurisdiction, you can easily shut them up with these court rulings. Once jurisdiction is challenged, the court cannot proceed. When it clearly appears that the court lacks jurisdiction, the court has no authority to reach merits, but rather would dismiss the actions. Alan Hindman didn't dismiss nothing. Even when the papers was right in front of him, he did not read the papers. He failed to uphold his oath. The law requires proof of jurisdiction to appear on the record of an administrative agency in all administrative procedures. He did not do that. Even though he was sitting in Tina Green's seat, and I was supposed to go before Tina Green, Alan Hindman was sitting in her chair, and he desecrated her chair. And I do mean he literally desecrated. He's a tyrant. All these Supreme Court cases and Circuit Court cases, Lopez versus Henny, and Henny versus Levine. If jurisdiction doesn't exist, it cannot justify conviction or judgment. Without which power of jurisdiction, the state cannot be said to be sovereign. Yeah, the state cannot make its own laws. When you have a right to do something by God's law and the Supreme Court, then you have the right to travel on the public roads. I am Moorish American. I have every right to be on the public roads traveling in my private recreational automobile. I was not doing comments. I'm not for hire. Never was. And when do cops have the right to break your window, tear you out of a vehicle, beat you, and take you to jail in a bloody mess? They don't. They just do it because they can get away with it. A judgment rendered by a court without personal jurisdiction over the defendant is void. It is a nullity. A judgment shown to be void or lack of personal service on the defendant is a nullity. Shamrock. Shrimp versus shrimp. You see, that explains right there. There was no jurisdiction. I never gave them jurisdiction. I challenged their jurisdiction. Alan Hindman is a complete effing tyrant. A court cannot confer jurisdiction where none exists and cannot make a void proceeding valid. If anybody have any black and white proof that I'm wrong in this, show me, because I'm holding the papers with the court cases and everything else. Old Wayne Associates versus McDonough. These are court cases. Wine. There is no discretion to ignore lack of jurisdiction. Court must prove on the record all jurisdiction facts related to the jurisdiction asserted. And Alan Hindman had no jurisdiction. Where was the cop that arrested me after he broke my window? Why wasn't he there? He was supposed to be there. If I committed a crime, where were the people? Why weren't anybody in the courtroom? I've been studying this for years. So all I do, I got nothing but time. The law provides that one state and federal jurisdiction have been challenged. It must be proven. And yet, they, Alan Hindman, could not prove it. Here in Mexico, your vehicle is registered to you. Jurisdiction can be challenged at any time. And I did not need to go to no psychiatric ward to prove that I was mental, because I wasn't. Because the laws are right here. The law, right here, right here. Defense of lack of jurisdiction over the subject matter may be raised at any time, even on appeal. They were supposed to throw the case out, but they didn't. They kept it going, and going, and going, and going, and going. Yeah, there were other people involved, but this is about Alan Hindman. Once challenged, jurisdiction cannot be assumed. It must be proved to exist. Stuck versus medical examiners. Yep. That explains everything. There is no decision to ignore the lack of jurisdiction. And Alan Hindman, Tina Green, Oakley, we're talking about Alan Hindman. But they all lacked jurisdiction. The burden shifts to the court to prove jurisdiction. Rosemont versus Lampert. Anybody can prove me wrong? Now's your chance. The universal principle as old as the law is that a proceeding of a court without jurisdiction or a nullity and its judgment varying without effort either on person or property. Norwood versus Rainfield. Jurisdiction is fundamental, and a judgment rendered by a court that does not have jurisdiction to hear is void ab initio. And 34th District Court have no jurisdiction. Where was the injured party? Where was the cop? Wasn't he supposed to be there to tell his story? I filmed everything. Thus, where a tribunal where a judicial tribunal has no jurisdiction of the subject matter on which it is assumed to act, its proceedings are absolutely void in the fullest sense of the term, dealing versus dealing. And yet, I was thrown into a psychiatric ward, mental institution, spent 2 weeks in a maximum security prison full of nutcases. And I don't mean the inmates. A court has no jurisdiction to determine its own jurisdiction. For a basic issue in any case before a tribunal is its power to act, and a court must have the authority to decide that question in the first instance. Rescue Army versus Municipal Court of Los Angeles. A departure by a court from those recognized and established requirements of law, however, choose apparent adhesive to mere form and method or procedure which has the effect of depriving one of a constitutional right is in excess of jurisdiction. All my rights, kidnapping, human trafficking, holding me hostage, violation of my rights. They couldn't prove anything. When I questioned them, they just couldn't prove nothing. We want money. We want money this, we want money that. We're going to get money. We're going to make you pay. When a court failed to observe safeguards, it's amount to denial of due process of law. Court is deprived of juris. And Alan Hindman, you did a naughty thing. The fact that the petitioner was released on a promise to appear before a magistrate for an arrangement, that fact is circumstance to be concluded in determining whether a first instant there was a probable cause for the arrest. Moreau versus Popper. There was no probable cause. Cops should have let me go. But instead he broke my window. And here's how much jurisdiction the Department of Motor Vehicles have. An action by Department of Motor Vehicles, whether directly or through a court, sitting administratively as the hearing officer, must be clearly defined in the statute before a subject matter jurisdiction. Without such jurisdiction of the licensee, all acts of the agency by its employees, agency, hearing officers are null and void. Doolin versus Carr, City versus Pearson. Agency or party sitting for the agency, which will be the magistrate of a municipal court, has no authority to enforce as to any licensee under he is acting. For compensation, such an act is highly penal in nature, and it would not be construed to include everything which is not embraced within its terms, where there is no charge within a complaint that the aroused was employed for compensation to do the act complained of, or that the act constitutional part of a contract. There was no contract. When acting to enforce its statutes and its subsequent amendments to the present date, The judge of the municipal court is acting as an administrative officer and not in a judicial capacity. Courts in administrating or enforcing statutes do not act judicially but mere administratively. Thompson versus Smith. Anybody can prove me wrong? Now is your chance. And bring some cold hard facts. A judge ceases to sit as a judicial officer because of the governing principle of administrative law provides that courts are prohibited from substituting their evidence, testimony, records, arguments, and rationale for that of the agency. Additionally, courts are prohibited from substituting their judgment for that of the agency. Courts are administrative issues are prohibited from even listening to or hearing arguments, presumptions, and rationals. ASIS versus U.S. 31st District Court is a scam. They have no jurisdiction. There has to be an injured party. Ministerial officers are incompetent to receive grants of judicial power from the legislature. Their acts in attempting to exercise such powers are necessarily nullities. Burns versus Sup. This is in black and white. You have the right to travel. Get to know the word jurisdiction. Do a Google search. You see, I was put through some hardcore BS over nothing. And I'm not going to talk about the person that put me through all kinds of bullshit. That don't need to know about that right now. But this is some bull that I can never get over. They're honorable. No judge is honorable when they don't uphold their oath. I have never gotten over this. I have never recovered over this. This is absolute bullshit. Something that I never recovered over. Oh, they thought I was mental. Oh, I challenge your jurisdiction. You're mental. You're mental? We're going to a psychiatric ward. Yeah, they violated me there and put hands on. I wasn't the same ever since that happened. Well, when my rights are violated, I have a problem with that. And Alan Hindman, if you ever see this video, your days are numbered. Because one day, your actions will come up to you. Will catch up to you. And I'm looking forward for you to have a necktie party. If you don't know what a necktie party is, back in the old days, when judges and prosecutors don't do their job and they get corrupt and everything, they get hung. Necktie party. Body is hung for 3 days. Anybody comes near that body will join that body. So all I gotta say is, this is something that I've been trying to get this off my chest for 4 years, and now I'm getting it off my chest. Alan Hindman, I understand you are doing your job, but you violate your oath. And that means you deserve a necktie party for violating my constitutional rights. I'm a Moorish American, and that's how it's going to be. That's who I am. It's like 12 midnight or something. Sleepy here. Now I'm going to have some fun at the beach. And the last thing I'm going to worry about is Alan Hindman. Now I got this off my chest. Anybody want to prove I'm wrong? You gonzos, you weirdos, you trolls, come on my channel and start talking shit. Better have something to back it up with, because I don't have time for you. So I'll see y'all later and peace out. Peace.